What's up, guys? Rick from DFS On Demand here, back with something new. This is going to be a video series on me trying to qualify for a live final. Yes, I've never been to a live final. I've never really attempted to qualify for one before. If you follow along, you know that I mostly play on DraftKings. The DraftKings qualifiers I don't particularly like. I don't think the structure is that advantageous. I only like to play things that I can max enter, which becomes a little bit expensive with the way that the structures are on DraftKings. And I think it's a complete crapshoot, to be honest with you. So I haven't ventured too much into it on DraftKings, but what I'm going to do is try to qualify for a live final on Fantasy Draft. I've never played on Fantasy Draft, so let's take a look at the live final I'm going to try to qualify for. And it's this one right here. It's for the PGA Championship, so obviously a PGA live final being held at Quail Hollow. That's where it's at. So this is pretty slick. So here's how it works. Basically, there are going to be 4 semifinals. One winner from each of the semifinals is going to go to the live final. There's only going to be 4 qualifiers for the live final. They will battle the 4 finalists for these prizes. $10,000 to first. So obviously not life-changing money. Obviously not the big prizes that DraftKings or FanDuel might get in their live finals. But this is a quest that I want to take on, and I want to go through the process with you. I want to discuss the lineups. I want to discuss the strategy, and basically just go through this entire process with you. So here's what we're going to do. We'll start by looking at the structure. So there are 4 semifinals. These are $100 buy-ins. We've already missed one. We've missed one of the Masters. We only have 3 shots at this. Not to handicap ourselves a little bit more. But here is what it was for the Masters. It was a $109 buy-in. There were 90 entries, and the winner is advances to the live final. What I like about Fantasy Draft is that even if you don't win this, the other payouts are pretty good. So first was the PGA Live Final, of course, but 2nd through 11th basically got their money back. They got another qualifier ticket. So what I'm hoping to do is build up as many tickets and as many opportunities to get into the live final as possible. To get into the semifinals, you can either buy in, of course, which I may end up doing, we'll see. But they have these satellites. So they have these $11 satellites. So these are 125 people. You can put 3 entries in. So it's max 3 entry with the top 10 finishers going on to the semifinal, and then 11 through 20th basically getting their money back and staying at that level. So it's really a nice kind of gradual increase to get in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to max enter the $11 buy-ins. There are 4 of these before the next semifinal. So the next 4 weeks on the PGA Tour, whoops, spoiler alert, those are my lineups. The next 4 weeks will be, why can't I get back to this? Here we go. So 4 weeks till the players for this semifinal number 2. Then there's 4 more weeks to qualify for the U.S. Open semifinal. Then there's 4 more weeks to qualify for the the Open semifinal. So I'll be max entering all the $11 satellites in all 4 of those weeks. And then depending on how many tickets I get, I might just buy in the other 2 times into the semifinal. So for example, I want to max enter the 11s and I want to max enter the 109s. So in an ideal world, I'm going to win enough tickets off the $11 buy-ins to do that, but I might just buy in if I don't either way. So going to give this as many bullets as possible. I did start to create some lineups here. The caveat here is I've never ever played on Fantasy Draft in my entire life. I had to go through the ID verification like 2 days ago to even get an account set up. Like I've never played a penny on here. what I found was this creating 3 lineups was incredibly difficult. 3 lineups by hand. I could do that on DraftKings. I could make 100 lineups by hand, no problem. The pricing is so much softer. Not here on Fantasy Draft. Really, really tight. So without going too much into this is what I'm going to go with. I had to take a lot of value. Like, I could not even find a way to get Kuchar into any of these lineups. I just hated the rest of my lineup. So there's a lot of mid-tier guys. There's a lot of value guys. We'll see how that goes. But we'll kind of look at this pricing just a second here. So here's a lineup. I had to go. I like Zach Blair a lot, and I had to, I think, use him in 2 out of 3 lineups. I didn't want to put anyone in all 3 lineups. I didn't want to live or die with anyone like that. But if I would have, it probably would have been Zach Blair because I like him this week, and he's only 14,800. Again, this is you get $100,000 to spend here on Fantasy Draft for 6 guys as opposed to $50,000 for 6 guys. So the pricing's just a little bit different. But what you'll see here is, like, look at how small the changes are over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys here are only $500 apart. Like, that's not what you don't see that tight pricing on DraftKings. It's a little more loose, a little softer, so you can get a lot of value guys and get a lot of studs too. I put Matt Kuchar in a lineup, and I could not fill out 6 other guys I felt comfortable with because of how tight it is and how bad it gets down here at the bottom. So I really relied a lot on. Let's go back. Sung Kang, who is coming off a really good finish. He's only 15,700. I liked him for this week. I like Zach Blair for this week. I had to sprinkle in some Brian Stewart, some Ches Reavie, guys I probably wouldn't feel comfortable playing with only 3 lineups, but I had to get guys like Wes Bryant, to get guys like Pat Perez, Terrell Hatton. Again, I'm not particularly thrilled with these lineups, but I don't know if I can make better ones. This is going to be a learning process for us, and maybe next week I will. The video will be actually me creating these lineups and going through the research and whatnot. But this is the first introduction for me to Fantasy Draft, and it was difficult. It was really difficult to do. So these are the lineups I'm going to put in. If you follow me on Twitter at DFS On Demand on here, we'll recap it. Obviously, as transparent as possible as we always are. But yeah, this should be pretty slick. An attempt to get into a live final. Let's see how it goes. See ya.